Hey everybody, good morning and welcome to Tyngsborough TV Live.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, right. I want to play this tomorrow morning. The Chief screwed up. So this is the Friday wrap-up, but of course it's not Friday, obviously. The reason being why we're doing the show now is because the book sale, which I'll talk about in a little bit, but the Friends of the Tyngsborough Theatre book sale is happening tomorrow in this room, or rather they're setting up tomorrow, and the actual book sale is Saturday. So just wanted to get this broadcast done today. That way we can actually do it, because otherwise I'll be surrounded by mountains of books. So it's not going to happen. So all that said, hang on, let me get that up. There we go. All that said, we have my guest is the Chief today. He is back. Thank you for coming on today and chatting with me about the wonderful things that are happening in the community of Tyngsborough. There's lots of interesting stuff happening these days lately with the votes and the golf course and all kinds of stuff, but we're not going to talk about that stuff today. We're going to talk about public safety stuff, and we've got a whole bunch of summer safety things to talk about. But before I get to that, first off, let me just remind everybody, if you're watching this broadcast, you can check us out on Facebook, YouTube, tyngsboroughma.gov, Comcast 8, Verizon 29, and if you're watching on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to chime in, ask questions, whatever the case may be. We generally try to keep them on topic with what we're talking about with the Chief or any guest, but if they're sort of somewhat related, I'll throw them out there. Don't just throw out wild questions about random things, because I won't usually ask those. So with all that stuff said, quickly, I just want to go through a couple things so that everybody knows. I mentioned the book sale. That's happening on Saturday here in this room, the community room in Town Hall. It's put on by the Friends of Tyngsborough Public Library. All the proceeds from these book sales go to supporting the library for the unfunded projects that haven't been budgeted in the public library's budget, which they don't have a huge budget like any public library does, just like any town entity does. So they have to support themselves a little extra by doing this book sale, and it helps them. Like I said, they buy the passes for the different museums and all kinds of different stuff, different programs that they're able to hire somebody to come in and do for the kids or the adults or whatever the case may be. So the book sale runs from 8:30 to 2:30. If you have it in your heart or you have some time, come in, buy some books. They've got books, DVDs, CDs, all kinds of stuff. There's a bunch of like used jewelry that's really pretty neat. They'll have a whole bunch of cool stuff, though, available for you to check out. Actually, there's a lot of good kids' books and stuff. So if you have little kids, great way to buy some kids' books instead of buying them brand new, just to have them get ruined like my son does. He kind of rips them apart after a couple days. So and they drool on them and all that fun stuff. So just get some cheap books and support the Tyngsborough Public Library. It's really helpful for those guys. Also wanted to mention, so if you don't know, if you've been living under a rock for the last couple of months, town meeting is coming up on the 21st, and at that town meeting is going to be the discussion on the golf course. They voted in approval the other day at the election on Tuesday to bring it forward to actually go into negotiations and potentially purchase the golf course. However, all of the following that's going to happen is going to be at town meeting, where they're going to discuss all the prices and all that fun stuff. So that is next Tuesday at 7 o'clock at Tyngsborough Elementary School, 205 Westford Road, right? That's right, yeah. 205 Westford Road, and obviously all residents are welcome. All registered residents can come in and vote, and you cannot vote if you're not physically in the building. So there you go. I don't know why people ask that question so much. Like, can I vote off-site? You have to actually be in the building to vote, so make sure you're there for that. And did I mention the Memorial Day Parade? I don't think I did. So it's coming up on the 27th of this month. It starts at 11 a.m. at Old Town Hall. Follows the usual route. We go from Old Town Hall down to take a right on the boulevard, down to the First Memorial, then come back up the boulevard, across the bridge, then down Pawtucket Boulevard to the American Legion building, where it ends, and there's a bunch of speeches and usually food and all kinds of stuff like that. In conjunction with that is the bike and wagon contest, the decorating contest that the Tyngsborough Recreation Department does. That's obviously a really fun one. If you have little ones and you want them to march in the parade, you can decorate your bike or your wagon or whatever the case may be and pull it in the parade, and everybody can wave and have fun. And you'll get your picture taken by me running up and down the thing as I'm huffing and puffing, trying to keep up with everything. So it's going to be a really cool day. So just mark your calendars for that. That is Memorial Day on the 27th at 11 o'clock, Old Town Hall. So if you're interested, come check that one out. And one last one before I move on with the Chief is the Town Beach opens up also on Memorial Day. So if you are interested, if you don't have a pass, you can get them for free here at Town Hall. Go to the town administrator's office and just ask for a beach pass, and they'll give you one of those hang tags. You put it in your window, or rather in your on your rear view, and so that way you can use the parking lot that's across from the beach. If you don't have one of those passes, the Chief will be standing there trying to tow you away. So just
Nice.
He won't actually. I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, you don't want to not have that pass, because if you don't, you potentially could get towed. So people do kind of roll the dice sometimes. I've seen it before, but you don't want to be that person that gets towed because that's not a fun day. So get your beach pass. They're free. Tyngsborough Town Hall in the administrator's office. You can call up and have one reserved or whatever. They usually have a big stack of them. But definitely get that and enjoy the town beach on Memorial Day if it's nice and if the sun's out. It's kind of out. The chief brought the sun with him. I don't know.
Strange orb. It's
really right. It's a strange golden ball, fireball in the sky. I almost did a funny video on it the other day. I'm like, what is this
we
thing?
haven't seen that in a month.
No kidding, right? It's been brutal. Man, has it been brutal. Do you have allergies, Chief?
I do.
You do? Yeah.
Unfortunately, it seems to have gotten worse as I'm getting older. So,
oh, really?
Yeah.
I'm just about 40. I'm 39 years old now, and like I don't have allergies. Never been allergic to anything other than poison ivy, which I think is normal. And I'm just starting to get like a little thing in the back of my nose. It's kind of annoying. I kind of thought it was funny though. I was looking on the internet, and the Asthma and Allergy Foundation of America, if you've ever heard of that, they have a top 100 list, and Springfield, Massachusetts was actually number 5 on that list for allergies. And I'm assuming all of Massachusetts is probably that way. But like, what made me think of it was the other day we took my kids to this playground, and I happened to look up, and the sun happened to be out, oddly enough, and all you could see was
floating.
A cloud. I mean, it was brutal, so bad. My eyes were kind of itchy. My son, I think he's actually got a little allergy.
The rain has helped quite a bit.
Yes, it has.
But it's been pretty.
It's helped with the bugs too. I've noticed it's been kind of light on the bugs, so hooray for that. That's cool. All right, so let's talk about some real stuff. So what's new in public safety? You've been busy lately. There's a lot going on. You've got new SRO programs going on. You've got a new officer you're going to be putting into the SRO program, and obviously summer's upon us, so there's lots of safety things to kind of remind people about. But let's talk first, just kind of general.
We're moving one officer from patrol into the school resource officer. It's going to be kind of a combined position. 3 days of school resource, 2 or 3 days, and then a couple days as detective, 2 or 3, depending on the week and if he needs coverage. What it gives us is some extra coverage for the schools that they have requested. In addition, it gives us overlap, so another person that's trained will be certified. It's going to go to some additional schools, but this is an officer who already has some certifications, and it's not just as simple as plugging somebody in there. They need to have specific training. And what this gives us is overlap, because we now are almost at 4 full-time school resource officers.
Wow. It's impressive from one.
Yeah, and you can't count on one person. Things happen. People get sick. People need vacation time. Other things happen. So you want that overlap, and you don't want a single point of failure. So this gives us a robust program where we have the ability to move people around if need be. If somebody has to be out, they're on training, or they have to go to court, or something else is happening. So I'm excited about that. I think it's a really big plus for the community, not only safety-wise, but the service to our schools, which is it's our number one priority. And it's been a phenomenal year and a half with the support of the Board of Selectmen, the schools who have worked with us and have really stepped up as far as the cost. In most of these positions, the schools have picked up the salary portion.
Oh wow! Okay.
Of these
I was
officers.
going to ask you about that.
Yeah,
right.
the school picks up the salary, and the town itself picks up the benefits side. So, obviously there's a huge benefit to both sides, and the police department of the town get the added, obviously, advantage of having officers directly in the schools, and this is more of what is going on. Not only statewide, but nationally. And it's a model that I'm very proud of, and it's going to continue to be our emphasis year in, year out.
I'll bet parents are comforted knowing this, because, I mean, obviously with news in the last, I don't know, since Columbine, let's say, that's only been in like an uptick. Maybe it's just the news cycle, but it's also seemingly there's been more of this stuff. So it's nice to see that there's more attention paid to it. And not to mention, like, for people who don't know, we have 4 high schools in this town.
Yeah.
That's a lot. I mean, most towns just have 1, maybe a second if they have a tech school or something to that effect, but we have 4. And then still the elementary and the middle school, and does the innovation, does that count as a high school? It is, yeah. Oh, you got
I'm not hearing it.
Yeah.
As we've talked about before, we have a very unique community. There's not too many communities our size that have 4 high schools. A very large Voc school, with almost 2,400 students, 300 staff, and then the additional schools. It has its challenges, but we're also very fortunate. We have a community that the schools have stepped up and have taken part in that solution. There it is, and so it's a community-wide solution. Everybody has to kind of be on board. with what we're doing. And it starts at the level of I sat down with superintendents and they talk about what they want and what they envision, and we come up with a plan, and then I come in front of the Board of Selectmen, outline that plan, and we move forward. And every step of the way, but we've received nothing but support, and that's how we got to where we are now. And this isn't a temporary, solution. This is going to be what I see as a permanent solution.
Okay.
To adding extra coverage not only in schools, but they're there for a variety of reasons. There's classes being taught. We're expanding. There used to be the DARE program, for example. We're bringing that back.
Because that went away for a while, right?
It did in a lot of communities, and there's a modified version of it. It's called Life Skills.
Okay.
And Sergeant Manning, I know, touched on it when he came in with me. And he'll be teaching that in schools, in elementary schools, and they bring it into the middle school. And it's a combination of some of the same tenets that the DARE program had.
Don't drink and drive.
Yeah, a lot of those, but it's some other things that are more relevant to today's society as well.
Okay. Like anything to do with technology, that kind of stuff?
There's a lot of things. I mean, you name it. Even what we just went through a few weeks ago with the thing that was put on at the high school with the distracted driving.
Oh, right. Yes. The distracted driving. Right.
Life skills can be a wide range of areas, and this is meant to be kind of more of a modern version. My understanding of it of DARE. With that said, some of the tenets of DARE stand true today, and so we have a drug crisis still. We have an opiate crisis.
Unfortunately, right?
The opiate crisis is probably the number one drug, / alcohol problem going on. The alcohol problem has never changed. The opiate issue has probably outpaced other drug issues, and I'd say it definitely has. And so that is a focus of all of these different programs. So in my conversation with Sergeant Manning, he's kind of testing it out. I think what's going to end up, we're going to be bringing forward is kind of a modified version of both, and bringing those forward to the schools. It's kind of the best of both worlds, and I think it's going to give us, our students and our schools, the most value.
Excellent.
So.
It seems to me like the drug issue, it's always just kind of an evolving thing. Like the 60s, it was like the LSD and those kind of things, and then just over the years, it's changed up to heroin, now to opiates. Do you think opiates is kind of the final pinnacle of this whole thing? And if we can get our hands wrapped around it, we can finally shut it down, or do you think it's just going to continue and to be something else again after that? It's hard to say, obviously.
It's hard to say. I think the nature of human beings being who we are, there's always been alcohol abuse. There's always been drug abuse. I think as a society, the smarter we get, the more we learn, the better off we are. We all know where we're at as far as, for example, the opiate crisis. And that's not the only crisis. We still have massive issues with alcohol. That is the number one abused substance on the planet. It has been forever, and I suspect it will continue to be. But we have other drugs. Heroin is still a problem, but there's very little heroin in the area. It's typically you talk to anybody, it's fentanyl. Fentanyl is a very cheap, basically a chemical substitute that gets usually cut into the heroin. In a lot of cases, they're not finding much heroin at all. It's mostly fentanyl.
And it's insanely powerful, right?
Yeah, my understanding, it's about 40 times the strength of heroin. And the problem with it is that if you're buying drugs and you're an addict and you're buying heroin, you buy it from one person on a Tuesday this week, and you buy it from a different person on, or the same person next week. The cut of fentanyl can be completely different, and that is how people, they think, okay, well, if you get a high, you're looking for a bigger high, and when you're addicted, you need to take more, and they could take the same. They can even take the same amount, but there could be a lot more fentanyl in what they have, and they overdose, and they stop breathing and they die. And so what is helping the situation is the availability of medicine and medication that can offset it.
Like the Narcan and
we
that
all
kind
know,
of stuff.
most police departments, certain ambulances, everybody else have Narcan available. the medical understanding of even families and everybody is at a higher level.
Mm-hmm.
But the level of addiction really, everybody that I've talked to in the field really hasn't come down. The level of the number of opiate deaths has slightly come down.
Okay.
But that's because of the availability of the medication that's
Okay.
in the market.
I was going to ask you about levels, but it sounds like they really haven't changed much. It's just
From
just
what
the
I
deaths
see,
overall.
I mean, there's some areas that, the numbers have come down.
Yeah.
Deaths have come down a little bit.
Yeah.
But some other areas have spiked. And they continue to see the same amount or more. Some have come down. It's kind of, region to region.
Mm-hmm.
In this area, we're still seeing a lot of opiate overdoses.
Okay.
But like I said, the availability, and a lot of people have right in their home. They have the ability to, knock that drug out. Is essentially take somebody who's passed out, they're out, and they may end up passing,
Mm-hmm.
and it basically can bring them back
Mhm.
because it takes the drug and it makes it inert, basically.
Mm-hmm.
It reverses the effects of it. But that's a temporary fix,
Mhm.
and we're right back in that same
Right, yeah.
situation.
You have
again.
to treat the underlying problem.
Yeah. So, that whole support network is substantially expanded.
Mm-hmm.
There is a lot more for families to lean on. There's a lot more for law enforcement and other agencies that are involved in it. But it's going to be a nonstop. It took us a long time to get where we are. I think it's going to take us a long time to get out from where we are.
Yeah,
There's a lot of good people working on it very hard, and but it's a serious problem. These aren't, and people think of it, and it bothers me because you meet people straight on. These aren't a bunch of drug dealers. These aren't a bunch of druggies, bad people. These are, a kid in college who gets a back injury
Mm-hmm.
and is
Got some
given
painkillers.
opiates
Yep.
and painkillers, and they get addicted. And then the next thing they know, they're buying heroin, and they're buying, whatever else it is, and
Mm.
they're going for the next victim. And all of a sudden, they're an addict. And 5 years, 7 years, 9 years down the road, quite often that ends in a bad way
Mm.
for the family. And you will talk to that family, and you can't lecture them. You can't say that they didn't do everything they could, because they really did.
Mhm.
These people are doing everything they can think of
Mhm.
in their power, and it's kind of it's almost a hopelessness by some of these families.
I believe it. Yeah.
And I think, we've gotten better. I think the support network has gotten better for these families, but there's obviously a lot more that can be done.
Mm.
And I know a lot of really smart, good people that are in our system that are coming up with new ways to reach out to these families and help. And I applaud them. And but there's a lot more to do.
Yeah.
A lot more to do.
Which brings me to my next point, kids. Don't do drugs. If you can avoid it, please don't do it.
Yeah.
The one thing that is helping, obviously we have Narcan, things like that. One of the positives I've seen come out of this is a lot of the drug take-back programs.
Mhm.
So, you got the pouches that you can put pills in and
Yeah.
get rid of them that way. You can
Yeah.
drop them off at the police department or, CVS and Walgreens and all
Yeah.
those places, they accept them. So the DEA has been very involved in this, trying to get rid of this stuff, because it seems like that's where it kind of started. You get the opiates, or, whether they were prescribed to you or you found them in a medicine cabinet at grandma's house, they end up getting used.
Well, the gross part
in a
is
bad
that,
way.
people have literally been flushing these pills
Oh, yeah, please don't
down
do
the
that.
toilet or dumping them somewhere.
Mhm.
And people have to understand they end up somewhere.
Right.
They end
yeah.
up in our water supply.
Yeah, they do.
Major metropolitan areas have found, they've tested their water supply, and they find a percentage of opiates
Mhm.
in their water. So there's plenty of ways to properly get rid of them.
Right.
As you said, we got the pouches recently through a grant that we were involved in, where you can literally put a little bit of water in these bags, pour a bunch of pills in there, shut it, and it's gone. You can throw it in the trash.
It ruins them. Right.
We also have, through the DEA, they do a drug take-back program. They seem to do it every 4 to 6 months.
Mhm.
Right at the police station, right in our lobby,
Mhm.
there is a drop box. You can drop off any medication you find.
Mhm.
It's
And that's
a
there
great
all
way.
the time, too, mind
That's
you.
there
Yeah.
all the time.
It's
yeah.
always open.
Yeah, and I think talking to my Deputy Woods, the last one we just had, which was a couple weeks ago,
Mhm.
I believe it was over 100 pounds that we turned back
Wow.
over to the DEA. So
That's
it does
impressive.
work.
Yeah.
It does work, and that includes some that had been dropped off previously, not just
Okay.
that day.
Yeah.
But there's definitely a better awareness. I applaud people who bring it in.
Mhm.
It seems like there's more and more people that are aware of it and want to get it out of the house.
Mhm.
And you have to know that kids are kids, and getting those old meds. You know, you might have got something for a toothache and only took a couple of them, and get them out of your house, get them out of there, and drop them off at the police station. It's well worth it.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. All right, so clearly that's still an ongoing issue, but there's progress at least being made, so that's a good thing. Yep. Let's talk a little bit now. It's beautiful outside. Thankfully, I see robins flying by. There's a gopher that wanders by over here on my side every now and again because we something to look at it through the day. Let's talk about some of the safety things, because with the warm weather, hopefully the warm weather, you know, people are outside, they're swimming, they're using the outdoors, and there's a lot of safety things. You know, almost every year you hear about somebody that locally that's drowned in a swimming pool with, you know, adults around and everything, unfortunately. But like, you know, what are some of the things that people want to kind of keep in mind when it comes to summertime safety? You
know, some of the same ones that you heard from your mom and dad when you were growing up, everything still applies.
Yep.
Wear a life jacket. And, you know, I drive my kids.
As goofy as they are, wear one.
They make fun of me and, you know, call me Safety Bill. But I'll accept that. If you jump, and I stand by that, I wear a vest. If you jump into a lake or a pond and it's dark water, 5 feet of water, 10 feet of water, it doesn't matter. Yep. If you go under, if you get a cramp, if something happens and you get tangled up with something on the bottom and you go under, you're gone. Yeah. You're not going to survive. You're going to drown. And that's the cold, hard fact of it.
The quarries tend to be some of the bigger ones. And they obviously are good, popular swimming holes. I won't say good, but they're popular swimming holes. Yeah.
We had 3 drownings in, I believe, in 3 years or 4 years.
Wow.
And, right here in Tyngsborough, and one of them was Lake Muscoppic.
Oh, really? Wow. Okay.
Excuse me. One of them was on Lake Massapog.
Okay.
One of them was over in Long Pond, and one of them was on the Merrimack. And you know, all 3 of those instances, these weren't people that were doing anything wrong necessarily. But all 3 had one thing in common: there were no life jackets.
Okay.
And you know, I get it, and it's fun to be out in the water, and you feel it's, you know, God, it's only, 5 feet or 8 feet deep and 10 feet. I think in all 3 of the situations, that's all the water was. It was anywhere from 6 to 10 feet deep, tops.
Wow.
And but all 3 of those people drowned. And so can't emphasize that enough. Obviously, alcohol, drugs, and water do not mix.
Right.
So if you're operating machinery, certainly not, 0. But if you're swimming, same thing applies. You know, it happens in a second. It happens to good people. It happens to people that are in very good shape, people that are young and strong, and you think you can swim forever. It happens very quickly. We had somebody, a teenager, who just got tangled with weeds.
Oh, wow, really?
From his feet, and we believe that's what held him underwater.
Geez, I would have never thought that could cause you.
Yeah.
I mean, I would have thought it would be like somebody threw debris in there, a piece of wire or something, or, you know.
Nope.
Wow.
And in all 3 circumstances, and I was there for all 3, and it's devastating, obviously, to the families.
Right, of course.
And a great day turns into a nightmare very quickly, and all can be avoided, and just some common sense, and sometimes to avoid that accident nobody sees coming, just wear the vest. I know, even if you don't want to, even if it's not comfortable, I know it's a pain, wear it. It's the life you save may be your own.
It's true.
So.
I even worry about, so we had a swimming pool at my house, and there was no fence or gate protecting that from my deck. Like, you could literally walk out my slider and walk right out and just drop right into the pool. And I've got, you know, a 1-year-old and a 4-year-old, so it ended up being an old crummy pool after doing some research on it. So I ended up breaking it down and getting rid of it, most of it anyways. I still have to finish it up. My wife's been nagging me to finish cleaning it up. But even still, like, swimming pools, just having a swimming pool at your house, even a small swimming pool, little kiddie pools, doesn't take much water.
Doesn't.
You know, you have to, if you're going to be around water, your kids are going to be around water, you have to be with them. Like,
you do. And that's another one, and you know, we put that out, but every year, we'll be doing the same this year. If you have younger kids, and you have to determine the age, but any younger kids, not even for a second, they can't be left alone.
Right.
It's happened. It's tragic, and but it happens in minutes. It's one of those things that the only way to truly avoid it is to be there all the time.
Right. You don't want to be that, like, hovering parent, but at the same time, you know, you have to be if your kids
comes to water. You think about it. It's just an attractive. area. That's where the kids are going to
they
go.
want to go
That's
splash
where
and
they're gonna
play
go.
and
Yeah.
put their little duckies in there,
Yeah.
whatever. James Mellinson has a good question. He said, "Can you talk about watercraft, ski machines, and speeding and reckless operation on the waterways? Given we have so many waterways and lots of watercraft."
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Hi, James. So obviously there's regulations.
Mhm.
We Fish and Game regulate our waterways,
Mhm.
and they enforce the laws as far as watercraft and everything else. But what we just talked about, if you're operating watercraft, there are rules wherever you are.
Mhm.
There are speed rules. There are general rules of the waterway.
Mhm.
You are responsible for knowing them. They're online. They're readily available for anybody to review, but you are 100% responsible. As in anything else, ignorance of the law is not an excuse.
Right.
You have to know.
Never is.
Common sense also prevails.
Yeah.
There's swimmers. You're supposed to be a certain number of feet away. Speed, how you're operating that craft. No alcohol, no drugs, all those things. Again, if you do something, and never mind yourself, but if you do something that injures or takes the life of somebody else, your life is ruined as well.
Right. Yeah.
And so, but you got to think about the dangers. You're driving a water ski, oh boy, you're driving a
Jet ski?
a jet ski, water ski. You're driving a jet ski. It's a heavy piece of machinery.
Yeah.
It's essentially driving a snowmobile on the water, and there's a lot of power. And
Yeah,
it
they're
can
fast.
do a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And so you're responsible. I would highly recommend everybody go on, look at the rules for operation of watercraft, and if you don't understand them, contact the Fish and Wildlife.
Mhm.
Contact the police department. We'll probably have to look them up because we don't know them as well.
Mhm.
But they're there for a reason, and when in doubt, call and ask,
Mhm.
or look it up. But ultimately you're responsible.
Do you know what the speeds are, like the legal speeds are on the lakes?
I don't,
those
but
things?
I do know that different waterways have different regulations.
Okay.
Um,
Maybe
in a lot of
varying
these
by the
lakes,
size
like
of them?
Lake Muscatatuck, there's associations that also regulate
Okay.
some of these things. But Fish and Wildlife, if you go on their website, we're going to post something on social media in the next week or two
Okay.
for all the waterways as we do every year,
Mhm.
and we'll get that out. And thanks for the reminder. But we'll have some of that information in the websites and everything else. But I would highly encourage people to, if you're planning on going on the waterway, go and review that information beforehand.
Mm.
Yep.
Does Fish and Wildlife ever have like an officer on the lake, or does the TPD or anybody?
Absolutely, yeah. They do occasionally, like anywhere else. They have limited resources, but they do. They'll drop a boat into Muscatatuck. They'll drop a boat into
Okay.
the Merrimack.
So they'll patrol.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Yep.
that's
Yeah,
good
they
to know. Yeah,
Yep.
because I feel like that's the kicker is like, you have people who want to enjoy the water. You have people who have water machines, we'll call them, that want to enjoy the water as
Mhm.
well. Maybe they're being responsible. Maybe there's a couple. There's always a couple in every group, like we've talked about, that just they ruin it for everybody. Like
Mhm.
what's happened on the Merrimack
Yeah.
a couple times. But the problem is it seems like whenever something is happening, there's never a law enforcement person there in terms of like on the water or
Mhm.
even on the road, honestly, in my opinion. But there never seems to be one there. So it's good to know at least somebody's going around and patrolling this even every now and again,
Yep.
just so you can kind of keep an eye on, have a presence.
Yeah.
You
But I mean, if somebody sees something, even
Mhm.
in this community, and there's not necessarily somebody in the water
Mhm.
patrolling, call the police department.
Mhm.
We'll certainly call. We'll respond down there, and if we can make contact with the person, whether they're in the water or not, but we'll get Fish and Wildlife involved. If you can get a picture of a ID, the plate, registration of
Oh, right. They all have the numbers on the
motorboat,
side, usually
yeah,
the watercraft,
take a
right? Yep.
snap a photo of that and send it to get it to us, because we can obviously get that run through the Fish and Wildlife and identify the owners and deal with it that way.
It's an interesting issue too, an interesting problem, because you have watercraft and you have people swimming in the water, and if they're up to their shoulders just kind of waiting, I mean, it's hard to see
Absolutely.
a bright yellow ducky in the water,
That's right.
much less
A person, yeah.
somebody's head.
Yep.
And you're whipping by it however fast. James said that these can be 100 plus horsepower.
Absolutely.
That's fast. These things
Yep.
can really book.
Yep, he's
know?
absolutely right,
Yeah.
and it's dangerous.
Yeah.
So, and we do get the complaints. We've had jet skis. There's animals. There's a lot of whether it's ducks or geese or
Mhm.
anything else. So there's a lot of hazards out there, and there's also areas that jet skis just shouldn't be in. The shallow areas. There's the swimming areas and everything else.
Mhm.
So all those things again. 100% you're responsible for it.
Right.
So before you do it, make sure you're aware of all the regulations and all the laws.
Right.
Go with it.
And remember that anything you do or cause will stay with you for, ever. You
Forever.
kill somebody on the water,
Yeah.
it's just like killing somebody on the ground.
Absolutely.
It's, whatever ends up happening, manslaughter and whatever else can happen.
Yep.
Lots of problems after the fact. Not to mention dealing with that yourself mentally. I'm sure it's not easy.
Absolutely.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit now about. We've got prom season coming up, the end of the school year. Hooray for the kids! I wish I was still in school some days. But this is always an exciting and obviously troubling and dangerous time of year as well for kids to, keep in mind and be safe and not do anything dumb. Hopefully,
it's a very exciting, time of the year, and obviously our graduating seniors. It's a big moment for them.
Mm-hmm.
But as we always say, not to be the bummers of the party, but everything in moderation.
Yeah.
So now that it's time to celebrate everything else, no drinking and driving, all those things that you've learned, that you've been repeated to over and over and over again, not from just your parents, but all the videos you've been forced to watch, and all the other safety things you've been forced to watch. There's a reason for that. It's not just to lecture you. It is literally your life at stake.
Yeah.
It's your friends and people and you don't want to be that person, that good person that unfortunately decided to drink and celebrate and get in a car and took the life of someone. You don't want to be that person. So this time of year it's common sense, but it's just using all that safety stuff that has been hammered home by your teachers and your parents and everybody else. It hasn't been there just for them to hear themselves talk, believe it or not.
I look at it this way. You just spent the last 13 years suffering through school.
Yeah.
Don't ruin it for one night. Yeah, go and enjoy it. Have fun. Go party. Do your thing. But don't ruin it. Don't go out drinking and driving. Yeah. I got to, was it 2 weekends ago? I was at the Tyngsborough Fire Department, and they had the vehicle extrication, they call it. They were doing a training, and they were showing how they tear these vehicles apart. Seriously, you don't want to be in one of these cars when these guys have to get in there, because it's a mess. If you're trapped in there for any particular reason, for an accident, from drunk driving or whatever, it's bad. It's bad news, and you've got 2,000 pounds or more of metal all around you. Not only your life is at stake, the passengers in your car, the other people on the street, pedestrians, whatever the case may be.
We talk about it all the time, but distracted driving is just as bad as drunk driving.
It's killing me.
If you're looking at your phone at all, you might as well.
What?
You might as well be drunk behind the wheel.
Yeah, absolutely.
You might as well have your eyes closed, and you're on the roadway with everybody else. You're putting everybody else in danger. There's no excuse. There's zero excuse for it. Get off the phone, whatever else you're doing. Obviously, you don't drive while you're intoxicated or under the influence of any drugs or anything else. But distracted driving has become the new drunk driving of our time. And
can I ask you this? Will I get in trouble if I bring a paintball gun and start peppering cars that people I see people driving and they're like that?
You will, Steve.
Dang it.
Jeez. Why would you bring that up?
Just joking. I'm kidding. But it happens a lot, and it's one of those things. I feel like that's been probably the cause of more road rage in the last couple of years than just dumb driving.
Yeah.
Just people.
It's kind of incredible because no matter how many warnings we put out and things, and then you'll pull up to a car in traffic and somebody is just holding a phone up to their face. It's amazing.
It's unbelievable.
It's amazing to me. So, I hate to just keep repeating things, but it is common sense. We all hear it repeatedly and all these things. And, I'm excited for all the kids graduating, and it is a great moment. But just take a deep breath and just check yourself and keep in mind.
James said something. He said he thinks the legislature, this isn't obviously verified, but he thinks the legislature passed something about hands-free operation. We have it in New Hampshire. It works to varying degrees. I still see it all the time, but maybe a little less. I don't know. It's kind of, but it would be good at least if the state did actually pass that. We'll have to research and find that out for next week. Yep. But that's good to know.
Agreed. Yeah. I mean, there's things out there. There's states that are looking at just vehicles just disabling your phone as you get in it.
I would love that.
Is make a 911 call, and so that's being looked at. It's no different than we have people that have been convicted of drunk driving, and they have to go in and actually blow into a tube in order to start
to make
their
the car go right. Yeah.
So there's a restriction on that, and that I could see the same thing happening in the future, and it's a bad problem. Distracted driving across the world is a huge issue.
The problem is with those though is they're after the fact, after they've already been arrested for drunk driving or something, or for maybe for texting or something like that and hitting somebody. But like, I just wish people would have more. I hate to harp on it because it's like, but it's one of those things that really drives me bonkers. You see it all the time, and we're all. I mean, I've been guilty of it too. When I first got a phone, we were, you think you can do it, like, oh, I can just quickly send this, But then you're right. It's like closing your eyes, or I mean, pretty much not even being in the car. You might as well just let it roll. Right. It's basically the reaction time you're going to have. It's bad, and it's just annoying.
And the technology is catching up, so there's more and more people using hands-free, which is great.
Right. True. Bluetooth helps a lot. I've got Bluetooth in my car. Hey Siri.
A lot of our, especially our younger people, are driving cars that don't have that technology, and so we got to keep that in mind as well. And I just, I'd be the boring old guy to remind you that it's just not worth it.
Safety bill.
Please, safety bill. So
with his clipboard.
please don't do it. And sorry, I got to be that guy. And but
it happens.
For your parents, for your family, just. Have a safe prom season, safe graduation, enjoy everything, and go on to have a great time at college and everything else.
Or trade school.
Yeah, or trade school. Absolutely, it's. I encourage it. We need a lot of people in the trade schools.
Yeah.
So,
or law enforcement.
Yep, absolutely.
Another one.
Yep.
How so? And you've had to bring on some new guys into the reserve program. Is that still going well?
Still an ongoing process. We have to put together a process. It takes a little time. We have to go through a lot of resumes. Then we put together a testing process. Then we'll do an interview process, and then we'll select from there. We're also going to have some full-time openings. We have some retirements coming up, and so we're going to have some positions to fill at the beginning of the new year, beginning of the new fiscal year. So we'll have a process there as well, and again, resumes to go through and process and try to get the best people that we can.
Do retirements ever bother you because you're losing experience? I mean, you're getting young guys, fresh guys off the street, or fresh out of the academy. Does that ever weigh on you that you're losing that
you hate to lose? There's people that I think have become invaluable, but I think I'm also a big believer. There's a time. I can speak for this career, and it certainly is relevant in other careers. But for law enforcement, I think that you get to a certain point, if you've done it long enough, that it's time to retire and move on to something else.
Makes sense, yeah.
Whether it's you have, just done it so long that it's time for a new challenge, but it can also be the point, you don't want to be doing something so long that you end up, not liking it anymore, or become frustrated or with the system or anything else. It's great when somebody retires and they love the job just like they did the day one, and certainly you don't want to lose that experience. Sergeant Jack Manning is going to be retiring. I tried to get him on. I'm going to still try for June to try to get him to come on one time before he retires, and I'm doing this now on purpose, Jack. But he's our prosecutor. He's been our prosecutor for over 10 years. Does a phenomenal job. We certainly don't want to say goodbye to him. And but it's he's been doing this for over 34 years.
Wow.
And,
good for him.
Yeah, and he's it's well earned, and he's planning a retirement coming up in July, and he'll be missed for sure. And but it's definitely time. He's looking forward to it, and he's gonna stay on as a special and probably work some traffic details and other things. But
is there a max amount of time or a max age that somebody can work in law enforcement?
65 in Massachusetts.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yep.
Wow. Okay. Very interesting. What the other question I have is kind of what are the averages ending up be? How long do guys end up working in the department or a department before they end up retiring? 20 years, 30 years?
Well, typically, so the retirement age is 55 or over, and 32 years on the job.
All right.
Over is your max for your retirement. But most officers in Tyngsborough, I've been here for 25 years. You see very few people leave It's more people that just kind of stay and do their entire career. But
Interesting.
I'd say typical 25 to 30 year mark
Yeah.
seems to be more typical.
Is that a small town thing that you've seen that guys want to stay in Tyngsborough, or like maybe they don't want to go to the big city, or they get burned out in the big city, they come here for a little bit, kind of a quieter, I guess we'll call it, department?
I think everybody's individuals. We had I know we had an officer here probably 15, 20 years ago, and that left in for Cambridge, and he's thriving there. He's doing very well, and he wanted to be in a bigger city. But we've had other people have a different experience, and will think that they want to be in a bigger city, but they actually like the smaller town.
Interesting.
What I like about Tyngsborough is it's a smaller town, but where we are, we're not in the middle of the woods somewhere. It's a busy town. We have plenty of challenging work. Our officers are certainly have enough on their plate to keep the job interesting. But at the same time, it's a great place to raise a family. It's a great place to come up through the ranks and spend a career. And I think that's why that's probably the biggest attribute that the department has, and where most people tend to just stay and do the careers here.
That's interesting, because we're not, like you said, we're not a sleepy town like a Dunstable or something like that, where probably not a whole lot happens in terms of law enforcement stuff, other than like sitting on the road.
And I will say,
people
I don't want to.
Not to knock that.
People have this impression that small town, nothing really goes on, and I think it's kind of funny, because until we started putting things out on social media, 7-8 years ago, I would have comments made to me. Geez, I didn't realize you guys arrested that many people. I didn't know you guys did this. We do. Those things happen anywhere, even in Dunstable or anything else, and they do, but it's just on a smaller scale. And we're certainly not dealing with some of the inner city things that of the gangs and shootings and everything else. And I'm certainly happy about that.
Right, of course.
And I have nothing but kudos and respect for the officers that deal with that day in, day out in some of those bigger cities. It's tough work, and but this is a great community. We are very well supported by the community, police department, fire department, I think all the town employees. And I just know in my 25 years here, built a lot of relationships, and this community has been phenomenal. And it's seeing how it supports its police, law enforcement, public safety in general, fire department.
That is one thing I've noticed as a very it's always there, very present, is that everybody here supports their public safety folks. The police, the fire guys, everybody really. I mean, they really, the community members do a lot, and it shows just in their actions. Not that they're necessarily saying it all the time, but it shows in their actions.
It's very flattering, and I'm very proud of this department and the officers that work in it. And the vast majority come in every day, do the job, do it really well, do it honestly and ethically, and it's just a good bunch of people, and I know that, and I work with them, and I see them every day. So we're very fortunate, and that's part of the job. My job, the deputy chief's job, and our staff. We have other staff that when we're going through the selection process, you're also trying to find somebody. You're trying to identify the best candidate. You're also trying to identify the candidate who's going to thrive here, who aspires to move up the ranks, that aspires to spend a career here. You don't want somebody that's just looking for here as a stopping point to go somewhere else. So those are all the same challenges that everybody has in the hiring process. You want to hire somebody for a career, not just a drive-by and going to be here for 2 or 3 years. You're going to invest all that time and the training and expense that comes into that for that person to say thank you, but I'm leaving to go to another community. So those are all important parts, and I think we've done a pretty good job. We've hired some really good people, and we want to continue that trend.
Excellent. Well, I think it shows, just having talked to a lot of these guys myself, it shows in their attitudes that they really do care about the community they work for. So that's nice to know. That's really good. And they're not out there to bust people every day and do bad things, not do bad things, but rather annoy everybody. Like kind of, you kind of think of that whole relationship of like the public and the civil people and the police, but they just want to do their job and make sure everybody's safe and go home at night.
Look, there's always going to be issues. There's always going to be a difference of opinion. That's what makes our society great.
Right, of course.
It's a difference of opinion, and it doesn't make us weak. It makes us strong, actually.
Right.
And if we didn't have a difference of opinion, that would be kind of scary. That means we're all thinking the same. But there's a respectful part of that.
Right.
And
That's what I was kind of getting
I'm
at,
really
yeah.
proud of. I think I know we have a good bunch of officers, and I know that for a fact. And the officers that you may not see every day, you may not get a chance to talk to, members of our, our boards or our, population may not see every day, but they're there, I can tell you, and they come in and do their job every day, and they do a really good job for this community.
Yeah.
And I'm very proud of that.
Cool. Very good. Well, it shows the from leadership all the way down to the guys walking the beats. I don't think everybody walks a beat, but you know what I mean. It's a little too big for a beat.
Yeah.
But they all definitely. There's a lot of good leadership, and it shows in the guys that are out there doing the job. So, anything else you want to chat about before we start to wrap this one up?
No, I think just congratulations to all of our upcoming graduating seniors, and please, do it safely.
Yes, please.
Enjoy your one of the best times of your life, but be smart in doing it. And the same thing, as a parent, and as your parents are telling you day in and day out, we want to see you go on to other things and bigger and better things as well. This is a big moment for you, but just enjoy it and respect everybody else's, ability to enjoy it as well.
Absolutely. Oh, and before we wrap it up, let's quickly talk about traffic, which is
there's no traffic issues.
There's no traffic. Well, so the reason why I asked to say this is because the school buses will be going away; they'll be off the road,
Yes.
so that will alleviate a lot,
Yep.
definitely.
Yep.
But then we've got the road work and that kind of stuff, which is kind of starting to wind down a little
Yeah.
bit. Some of those projects. So
Well, we're going to have, unfortunately, that's probably not true as far as the traffic, because we're going to have the sewer job starting.
right, I forgot
Sometime
about sewer.
between,
Yeah.
I was told yesterday by the sewer department,
Okay.
sometime probably between June and August, the phase 2 job will start. So
Yep.
Middlesex Road, I believe it probably 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years worth of work. So there'll be a lot of, road going on, road work going on. We'll obviously, as usual, keep whatever open we can and keep the traffic moving as best we can.
Right.
And there's other projects going on in the community that obviously everybody knows. Westford Road, they're going to be
That's kind of what I was
continuing to
thinking with the
pave.
winding down.
Yeah, that is winding down.
Slowly.
Unfortunately, the poles have not been removed. Verizon has not finished removing the rest of the poles over there. So once they do, the paving crew will come back and finish paving that. But they're finishing up their portion tomorrow.
Oh, good.
Paving,
Okay.
we're to send out social media. We had said it was through Thursday. They've added tomorrow as well, so we're going to be putting something out on that. I know there's complaints at Tyngsborough Bridge. So the bottom line with the bridge is there's probably not going to be a complete answer that everybody wants to hear, which is where you have an intersection in one bridge, one lane going each way, and we have a bunch of traffic coming into that same area. So at the certain points of the day when it's heavy and everybody's dumping into that area at once, coming up the boulevard, coming up Sherburne, coming down Frost, for example, rush hour in the morning, we get a heavy amount of traffic, and a lot of that traffic does come up from Lowell as well, from the boulevard in Sherburne. There is going to be delays. Now, our goal is obviously to get people over as quick as possible. So we have in the past few years, I've worked with the DOT on changing the timing of the light. That has helped. What we do is we look at a specific time, for example, 7 to 9 in the morning, and we add more time from the traffic coming from, for example, from the east side over to the west side. And we'll continue to do that as we see a need. But just remember that every time we make an adjustment on one side, we're affecting the other side, and we're building that up.
Yeah.
So there's a balance. We are aware of it, and we do keep an eye on it. We speak to the DOT on a regular basis. We'll continue to update and as necessary. The school bus, once school's out, that certainly helps. There's certain points in the day that we get a heavy influx, obviously, of school buses. They do take up a lot of room. But the traffic issues aren't necessarily going to go away. Lowell, my understanding, is going to be doing some several bridges down the boulevard.
Right, we've talked about this. When is that supposed to start?
I don't know. I know there's already work going on in some places, but we're going to only get more traffic coming up our way, or they're going to skip our town when it's backed up, and they're going to go to Hudson. But there's only a couple different ways to go, and so we're expecting more traffic. We will address it, and as those things happen, and if we see traffic, it does get monitored in the morning, continually backing up. If the delay is, really more than 10 minutes, it's something that is needs to be addressed, and we'll come in and we'll try to add more time. But again, there's a balance there. We can only add so much time to one side without, getting to the point that we're so negatively affecting the other side that it's a problem.
Right. It's a very unique intersection.
It is a unique intersection.
Of
There's a
two
lot of traffic.
intersections.
And
really.
unfortunately, there's nowhere else to go. It's not, there's no additional lanes. So,
Right. Yeah. The bridge is only 2 lanes wide. So.
But we are aware of it, and people's complaints are absolutely legitimate. But it's not something that just we're oblivious to.
Just put a new bridge in your budget for next year. That's all.
Is that
simple.
what it is?
Problem solved.
It's a beautiful bridge. So
it is a beautiful bridge. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
We just need another one.
Yeah. Right.
Two bridges, one direction each way. So we have our wish list.
Hopefully, at least it'll be sunny and not raining, and your commute won't be or it'll be more comfortable. Let's put it that way than it's been the last couple of weeks. And the school buses won't be on the road, so that's good. The sewer thing, I forgot. That's my bad. I forgot about that.
Yep. The project's going to be ramping up, but
right.
we'll stay active on social media, let people know what's going on the best we can. I encourage people, if they have questions, please reach out. They can always reach out directly to me, the deputy chief. Call the police station with questions, and anything we can answer, we certainly will. And
there are a number of roads that are going to get paved too. So hooray for that! For everybody who's been crying because of just the state of the roads. So there's I think it was 3 or 4. Roads
the thing of it is, to be fair, and I know this isn't my arena. The selectmen I think made it clear every year the town just isn't funded enough as far as from the state for roadway repair, and I've talked to selectmen. We just don't, obviously we don't get enough money. And like every New England town, our roads, we're not unique.
Right.
Our roads are a mess based on the winter and based on the freezing and the frost heaves and everything else. And so I think my understanding is they've allocated some resources, and there are a lot of roads getting done, like you said. So obviously that's a great thing.
Very positive. That's for sure.
Very good.
Very, very positive. So. Yeah, so lots of good things happening. Stay safe, seniors. Congratulations on graduating. Be safe on your prom night. Don't do anything stupid, please. There's lots of stuff going on, by the way, too, in town. If you guys are looking for anything this weekend, Friday night is the Tyngsborough's Got Talent over at Tyngsborough High School. Saturday night is the Tyngsborough High School Theater Review, or musical review, I think it is rather. And then Monday and Tuesday are the Knowledge Bowl. Tyngsborough High School is they're the defending champions, so that's pretty cool. Though Tuesday you should be at town meeting. Don't forget about that one on the 21st, 7 o'clock, Tyngsborough Elementary School. Be there to vote and
take part.
Take part of it. There's lots of interesting stuff happening. Chief, do you golf?
It's interesting you said that. I do try to take part in a couple tournaments every year.
Okay.
I'm in a tournament actually next week, fundraiser, and I'm horrible.
We all are. It's okay.
I have promised my wife that it was something I was going to take up, and so we're actually taking lessons. And
nice, very cool. Yeah.
Trying to actually learn this sport that, I just don't get it.
If
it's tough hitting that little ball.
If Tiger Woods is at the top of the spectrum, I'm at way down at the bottom, the opposite end.
I'm not on the spectrum. I'm somewhere well below.
I fell off. Yeah.
So, but it's a challenging sport for sure.
What's the one you're playing for? The charity one.
I am playing in the Mass Police Chiefs. It's actually through NEMLEC. It's the police tournament they have every year at the Oaks in Drake. So
very cool. That's a nice golf course too. I've played.
I hear. I've never
very
done
nice.
it, so.
It's very hilly. Be ready for a walk.
Yeah.
Your glutes are going to be.
Well, I hit in the woods a lot, so I'll avoid the hills.
That's awesome. Yes, that sounds about right for me as well. The reason why I was bringing that up, though, is the Tyngsborough Firefighters Association. They are having also their charity golf tournaments, the 2019 Donald Singleton Memorial Golf Tournament. You can register by July 12th, and all the proceeds go to the Tyngsborough Firefighters Association, who they give away for scholarships throughout the year, and then whatever's left goes to the Tyngsborough Fire Department to help with buying equipment.
Yeah, I would encourage everybody to join in that one. It's I've never played in it. I plan to play this year, and nice. I hear it's a great event. Fire Department does a great job putting that together, and it's really important.
I was going to put together a foursome if you want to join.
I'm in.
All right, let's do it.
Count me in.
Very good. You heard him here. He's joining our foursome.
You don't want me, but
we're all going to be off in the woods somewhere.
I keep 50 or so balls in my in my bag.
I got cheap and I started buying the reusables.
I paint them orange so you can see.
There you go. I tried the glow-in-the-dark balls, and they did not work very well. I'd hit them too far into the woods. So lots of cool stuff happening this weekend. Again, don't forget about the town meeting on Tuesday. Obviously, we had the election this past Tuesday where the golf course thing did pass. So I think it was only by like 40 votes. It was really close. It's like 540 to 510 or 500, something like that. I don't want to misquote the numbers, but it was super close. So that's going to come up at town meeting. That's obviously been the big thing everybody's been talking about lately. Obviously, lots of budget requests and asks from all the various departments, including police as well, I'm sure. But definitely come down. You cannot vote if you're not actually in the building. If you're a registered voter, just check in at the front, and they'll give you the little card, and you can vote on your stuff, whatever your conscience is on that stuff. So it's always good, at least to show up to that thing and show your civic duty. Do your civic duty, because this is where it happens. Quite honestly, I mean, I say this a lot, but we vote for state, local representatives, local senators. You vote for your state senators and representatives, and you vote for your president and stuff. But when you get to the state and the president stuff, they really don't affect you as much as all your local stuff does. Yeah. And then it comes down to town meeting, where all these little things that happen in town, your trash pickup and all that stuff, that's really where it makes a difference, is to be at town meeting. I don't think vote for this stuff.
I don't think people should ever take disagreement or difference of opinions as negative. I think it's a huge positive.
Absolutely, right.
And so it's always a great thing.
Right. Whatever your political persuasion, and does not matter. Come and have your opinion, state your case, and let the cards fall where they may, because that's ultimately what's going to make the strength. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, don't forget about that. And like I said, the other couple of things that are happening this weekend, I'll post some links so that you can check this stuff out after the fact. So that's all we got for the day. Anything else you want to add before we wrap up?
Stay safe, everyone.
All right.
Congratulations, graduating seniors.
All right. Get outside. Enjoy the sun while it's still there. I don't know how much longer it's going to last for, but the sky is blue right now, so go enjoy it, please. Yeah, that's it, folks. Take it easy. Again, no show tomorrow. Obviously, this is Thursday. No Friday wrap-up, but also the book sale. Don't forget the Tyngsborough Public Library's book sale put on by the Friends of Tyngsborough Public Library. All the proceeds go to support all the programs they have. So
stay safe, everyone.
Stay safe. Take it easy. Have a good weekend, and I will see you guys on Monday with the news. Bye, everybody.